Cancer, welcome to your 2024 reading here on the Astroflower. Yeah, it's going to be an amazing year, I think. It's going to be a real game changer year. We saw that in the collective reading, and I think the most important thing, I think personally, is that transition of Pluto into Aquarius. It happens on the 21st, 22nd of January, and then it does go back into Capricorn in the October November period. Not sure exactly on the dates, but it's around that sort of period for around about a month or 28 days or something like that. But we're really moving now into the time of Aquarius. So we're moving, and all the lessons that should have been learned in Capricorn, we can now start applying them in life. Because Pluto in Aquarius is going to make for a lot of sort of creativity, a lot of sort of humanity, a lot of human understanding. It's also going to help us to get a little bit more sort of functional, sort of time wise and stuff like that. It's going to help with a lot of having life a little bit, ordained, as it were, sort of a little bit of order and structure back into life. And I think that's what Capricorn brings to the situation and allows that creation to grow within Aquarius. Sorry, I haven't done any sort of readings over the Christmas period. I've been a little bit under the weather, coming out the back end of it now, but we will be doing a live where you can ask questions according to your yearly reading at some point next week. And if you want to be part of that, and if you want to ask a question according to one of the petals, you're going to need to be subscribed in order to ask those questions. So yes, before we go through all of that, let's just have a look at what we're actually reading. So we've got the overall energies here. We've got the karmic path on your spiritual path. We've got the karmic message on your material path. And this could be on your spiritual path. It could be to do with your emotions, your relationships as well, but mainly to be with your spiritual path more than anything else. And on your financial side, your material side, it could be to do with jobs, businesses and projects and so forth. So let's just go through. Let's see what we've got coming up. Queen of Pentacles. Lovely card to have as an overall energy here. The Queen of Pentacles knows how things work. She sat at the tree of knowledge. She knows when the tree of knowledge is going to bear fruit. Therefore, she only has to sit around and wait for it to happen. And this seems to be like a recurring sort of situation that's coming out in most signs. And the overall energy here is sort of saying, I think it's more sort of saying it's time to be a little bit more consistent within your energy, within your spiritual practice, within your material world, in which way you do things physically. And a lot of things as well has been on the collective reading, which will be linked at the end of this sort of reading as well, which you can go and have a look at. On the spiritual sort of side, it's how there's a real major shift in the way in which we project our spirit into the material world. Now we convert our spiritual practices into physical sort of realm. And I think that's what the Queen of Pentacles is doing there. It's giving birth to sort of a new seed for tomorrow, which we can plant and which comes from the tree of knowledge. It comes from complete and beautiful understanding. On your karmic path, excuse me, on your karmic path, we have the Two of Swords. Decision making on your karmic mission here. And I think this is a decision about where and how you put your spirit, your energy, your emotions into your life, into your connections with other people, and what you actually do as well, choosing to do something, but also choosing not to do something. That's what the karmic mission is for you during this year here. Cutting out the excess that just distracts you more than anything else. And once you do that, that's going to make you a real strong leader in your life, where it's going to allow you to sort of engage with your spiritual and your energetic sort of life. Which allows you to sort of be a master of your own destination. And once you get that within you, it's going to stop you from, the choices are going to become easier and easier as we go forward. And rather than doing something and it's sort of like just tailing off, or someone that you're doing, or you're in a relationship with someone and all of a sudden they just sort of like turn off and go off somewhere, that sort of thing is coming to an end. So it's got a lot more consistency and long-termism that's coming out through the change in from Capricorn to Aquarius, basically. And that's what's on your karmic path. On the your first 3 months, going from January through to March, the end of March, you've got the Moon card. So this is it. This is where I think you're making these decisions about things that are under the surface, emotions that you didn't want to show before because you didn't want to hurt anybody, or spiritual practices or energetic ways of being that are, it's almost, I feel like you're sort of now sort of using a lot of things that were in the undercurrents of life in a very serious way. And it's almost bringing those unforeseen energies and those unforeseen ways of doing things and bringing it to the surface, so you can then start applying it in this new paradigm that we're going into this year. And we really are going into this new paradigm, and it certainly comes up on that collective reading as well. There's a certain degree of, it makes you a little bit uncomfortable because it's you're not necessarily used to it, because before we've had to, there's a lot of things we've had to sort of like almost fight for, I don't want to say it, but it's a little bit like that, in the spiritual or the emotional sort of front, where there's this sort of undersurface conflict that's going on within the world in regards to emotions and energies and sort of spirit, as it were, in the past. I think that is what is coming to an end, and that's what's allowing you to, all of a sudden, it's taking pressure off certain aspects of your life, which now you can allow to come to the surface. And the moment you do that, that's when you start getting in the offerings. This is going from this is going from April through to June, so it's coming just up to your birthday season, the start of your birthday season. And I think once you've done that, you've allowed these emotions to come to the surface, or you've allowed these energies to come to the surface that you were suppressing maybe in the past. Once you start doing that, all of a sudden you're going to realize that in this new way of being and this shift in the spiritual path in the world, in which we're really engaging in a physical front, and that is what the Ace of Pentacles is all about. You are realizing in that period of this autumn period coming up to your birthday season, that what's been gone in the past, you now know how to approach life or engage in life in a way that's very beneficial, not just for you, but for everybody that is around you, because it makes you feel good. And once you start engaging with it, that's when the offerings, the opportunities, it's not opportunities, it's more of a case of seeds that you might have planted in the past that would not, you would like it to happen but didn't really come to fruition, now can do that. And it's making, I think there's a lot of excitement over that period there. It's a real desire to engage in this new cycle that comes up after your birthday period, because you just seem to understand of how to engage in life. And then you get the King of Wands. Yeah, totally. Living your pathway, being that ruler, using your passions in the way that guides you, that takes you in that sort of direction. And that comes out of the decisions that you need to be making that bring those emotional things to the surface, so you can clearly see what you want and what you don't want in your life. That makes the opportunities or the possibilities within your life a lot more concrete. and then you know where you should be going. And once you come out of your birthday season, this is where we're talking going from July through to September. Once you start coming out of your birthday season, you're going to come out with such a confidence and a knowing of where you're going. It's going to lay waste to these sort of difficult decisions in the past. And this is where you convert those decisions to being a leader in your life, or the captain of your destiny, basically. And this is where your passions drive forward as you start going into coming into your winter period from July through to September. All of a sudden, you really do own your pathway, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I think it has sort of sorted the chaff from the wheat as you come forward. Now you know that path. This is the Seven of Wands. This is realization, and this is realization of the decisions that you've made. It's revelation. That's what number 7 for me is all about. And this is where you can defend your path, but that is the past way of doing things. This is sort of saying, if you've really made those decisions and you've converted that karmic path into reality, you should just be following your pathway. And that's the only defense you need. Because people may come along and kind of sort of say, why are you doing that? And kind of go, because I'm going after that. Why are you going after that? Well, it's my problem, isn't it? That's why I'm dealing with it. That's why I'm going after it and you're not. Whatever you're going after, go for it. But why I'm going after that. And you don't have to, defend yourself. You don't have to justify yourself. That's the feeling I get. And it becomes very cut and dry for you. Very clear about, what you should be going forward. What you should be doing going forward, basically. Let's just see what's going on your material front. And this is to do with your job, your business and your projects and stuff like that. It feels a lot more active on this side. The energy on this side is a lot more active than on this side. I think this side here is slightly timid, and I think that's where that comes from. I think there's it's a case of once bitten, twice shy sort of scenario. But on your financial side or your material side and the way, all your projects and stuff like that, that seems to be a lot more vibrant. There's a lot more energy going on. Yeah, you're concentrating on where you're going. You're concentrating on the finer details, working on the smaller cogs that make for the bigger cogs and makes life work for you by concentrating on the smaller things and getting down and doing it. Getting down and doing what you should be doing. You've done enough faffing about over the past 10 years, and that's what Pluto in Capricorn does. You start projects and you start it and it just kind of goes, stops. You start another one and it stops. And that's what's coming to an end. And this consistency that you can build within your karmic path, which ties beautifully in the overall energy, will allow you to just make bold strides forward, basically. And then you get the Hangman in the first month. So January, February, March. This is your summer period here. This is where you're going to see things in a different light because of what is happening in January with Pluto coming out of Capricorn. It's going to make you approach your work, your engagement with your environment, your engagement with your house and all of those sort of things in a different way. And I think it's sort of saying, that you're a fun-loving, happy person within your material world, but now you need it to work. And now you need it to evolve and go forth. And so still doing the same thing, but in enjoying what you're doing, but now having a certain different view on how it can be brought to fruition, how this work that you're doing can actually bring you those fruits. I think you're just seeing it in a different way, and I think you're recognizing that needs a different type of approach, really. So approach that you know how to do. It's not a problem for you, but it's the world that's changed around us that means that you can approach it in a different way, which can build to your success. In the autumn period, this is where your autumn period going, so this is from April through to June. In your autumn periods, this is where we look into the past, seeing what we've done, what worked, what didn't work, and then saying how we want things to work in the future. And it gives us a clear vision of where we're going. And this is where the fair exchange comes into it, of you sort of saying, no, it needs to work for me. It needs to happen. Otherwise, we're just sort of pushing air around. And that's not a good thing. And I think this realization of getting down to that Eight of Pentacles, getting down to that work, really comes home in that 3-month period there. And there is a lot of complications that I've been seeing in that 6-month period there. There is that between time of Pluto going from Capricorn to sort of Aquarius, because it does come back in November, and it will just clear out the rest of the dust that needs to be got rid of. And it's this 6-month period is a bit sort of like, oh, is it really working? Is it really working? Yes, it is working. It is working. You know, that sort of thing. And you get the Eight of Swords. So you got the Eight of Pentacles with the Eight of Swords now in this period here. I think here is coming out of your autumn period, where you're getting this fair exchange where it's got to work for you. I think this is where the most concentrated part of you've got work ahead of you this year. And I think it's good work, but it means you've got to stop moving about. I think it means you've got to stop changing the goalpost, stop changing the destination slightly. Sort of saying, oh, I wanted to do this thing here, and I wanted to do it in this region here, and I wanted this sort of structure. But now I want a bit more sort of water features, so I'm going to have to change the structure. The problem is eventually you end up going nowhere and nowhere fast. And now I think here, within this here, the Eight of Swords, I think you've got an opportunity to sort of stick to a plan. And that means, yes, that you're going to have less movement, less deviation from your path, but it's going to be a good thing for you. And with that sort of less deviation, that's going to help you to focus very clearly, like the Eight of Wands, focus on the message that you are trying to bring to this world through your material, sort of through your job or for your business or your projects, whatever it is. You get the Nine of Wands, not the Eight of Wands. Okay, that card there wanted to come out as well, and that was a Five of Wands there. So there's a lot of passion going on there, really. It drives a lot of your passions. And the Five of Wands is all about being the best example, leaving behind a chaotic dimension and going into a very ordained dimension where you know where you're going. And we can see that on your sort of relationship side. But the Nine of Wands came out here, and this is what comes from this. From this and this, I think, from these two sections here, where you're understanding where it's got to work for you, and you've got to stop changing the goalpost or deviating from where you're going. You've got to be a little bit more sort of fixed on what you're doing and where you're going. These are the Eight Wands that are behind you, are those sort of natural, healthy boundaries that stop you from sort of kind of going, okay, stop you from deviating from your path. And I think it's going to trigger things within you that you're going to realise and allow you to keep hold of that stuff there, which is your pathway, your passion for life. And it's the same passion and pathway which is on that, the Seven of Wands, and on the King of Wands there. And it seems to be like here that you come out of this year, 2024, being highly determined about where you're going. And really got the grit between your teeth, as it were. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to do a bit of clarification from the Light Seers cards. I really hope you get the best out of these readings. I hope you enjoy yourself here on the Astroflower family. There's loads of links in the description below where you can learn a lot more about the Astroflower. Yes, thank you very much for being here and showing all the support that you do. Let's just go on with a bit of clarification. Let's see what's going on with the Queen of Pentacles. Yes, I think this success of knowing your future, knowing about how life works, is only missing that one little ingredient, and that is that passion. That staff there that I was talking about on the Nine of Wands and on the Seven of Wands, and also on the King of Wands as well, on that sort of thing. It's exploring that passion within the security of knowledge of knowing how things work. So you're not, and I think that's what ties into that as well. And within that, as within your karmic path, it's using your passions and giving it a real strength or meaning to you and your spiritual path and your material path as well. On your karmic path, on your spiritual path, the decisions that need to be taken are the decisions that in the past you allowed yourself to be put out in the cold by others because you accepted it. You were too kind. You didn't want to rock too many people's boat. And I think that's what's coming to an end. That's what's got to change. That's that whole idea of sort of kind of going, oh, well, I'm not going to follow that path because that may make Betty feel uncomfortable or Dave feel uncomfortable. If Dave or Betty feel uncomfortable is not really your fault. You're not the reason they feel uncomfortable. And if you have to curtail your life in order for someone to feel comfortable, obviously you don't go out of the way to make them feel uncomfortable. That's not what the score is. But at the same time, I do believe there's a case to be said here that, if you don't live life, no one else can live life. And I think that's what's really important for you to go ahead and live life. And I think that's the decision you're making that we can see that comes out certainly in the last 6 months of the year. But I think that really comes out in the in your autumn period just before your birthday. In the moon, you get the Queen of Cups. I think this emotion coming to the surface, as I said with you, with these decisions, frees you up, allows you to be a happy-go-lucky person, having a certain gaiety about you, sort of like a real joy, a real sort of skip in your step going forward, because your curious side and exploring the happiness in life is going to give you that bounce in your step, because you're learning a lot about. Excuse me. Just need to make sure my thing was recording there. I'm sorry about that. It just makes because you're bringing a lot of things to the surface. It clears a lot of things out, which makes you feel a lot freer about expressing your spiritual path and your energy in the world. That's that whole new cycle. This is where we're coming into your autumn period. We're coming to the end of your year. Your personal year, and then that's when it comes into your birthday season. That's a whole new season. That's a death and rebirth sort of scenario here. And this is where you do get that understanding of how to physically put your energy, your spirit into the world that is around you so you get the results. And I think this is a real wake-up moment for you, an amazing wake-up moment for you. It's like you're coming from that dream state there, and it's now you're starting to wake up to the situation that is around you in a very, very good way. Which helps you, which is a massive gift for you, And then, yes, King of Wands, Two of Cups. Because you're following your pathway, it gets you into alignment with who you are on your spiritual path and your energetic path, but it also gives you into alignment with other people. So this could be a really good period going from July through to September, which is your sort of spring, your winter time period. And this is where we start all the plans. And I think this is where you start a new love in a way, because you're a new person. This is a new person being born here. A new you. Let me just put them all together. This is a new you that's being born, and it comes out of your passions about living your life. It's a very, very beautiful scenario for you, and it's you who are driving it, because you are now the master of your destiny, no doubt about it. But it's keeping true to that. I'm not getting him, drawn off your path into situations that are just sort of detrimental to you. This is that wisdom of that there. The decisions that you're making is through, it helps you to then in the future make very clear judgment and gives you a lot of wisdom as you go forward on your pathway of how best to open your connection to spirit, to energy, to the world that is around you, and to live fully your pathway with that clear vision of what you want and how to do it. It's a real revelation year for you, I think, more than anything else. Cancer, really, really nice. Love the way it's sort of turning out for you. It's a lot of, I think there's a bit of work in the beginning part of the year, but after that it becomes very clear for you and gives you a real sort of determination to go forth and create, basically. With the Eight of Pentacles, sorry, you get the Page of Wands. You're going to enjoy this work. You're going to enjoy engaging in life because it's, as I said, it's things that you like doing, but you've just may have been a little bit too interchangeable in the life or the direction or changing the goalposts, as I said earlier on, sort of scenario. And now you're getting, because the Knight of Wands, through your passions, which is a step up from here, and that is what you're doing here. That's why you got that karmic path of learning about that. That is what's going to bring you forth, of learning about your passions, and the overall energy is allowing you to do that. So the Knight of Wands, sorry, can, with those passions, secure your future and stop you from deviating and going off your path, so then you get some really good quality work going on within your material path, within your career path, within your job, your business, all projects that you might be doing. How do you see things differently? What makes you see things differently? And what things should you be concentrating on in order to give yourself the edge on the scenario? We've now got 3 8s on this side, on the work side. There's the 3 8s there, on your karmic path and in your winter period just after your birthday season. And in this period here, this is similar to this sort of scenario. The Hangman is sort of seeing things differently, is by allowing your curiosity, by sort of saying, I like doing that, and I like this sort of results it gets and stuff like that. But if I want it, I've got to really sort of home in on my heart's desires and really streamline things. How can I approach this in another way through my heart's desires in order to get the results that I want? And it will mean working, and I know that's working hard, but I think you're going to enjoy that working hard if it stimulates your curiosity. And I think that ties into that, about learning about your passions and how it gains in your life. And once you allow that curiosity to open up your heart to your happiness within your workspace and your karmic path, and realizing it has to work for you, that's when the decisions start coming into play in this aspect here with that 6 of Pentacles. You're starting to realize there's a different way of doing it. And that is, so you've got the World here, and on the relationship side, you've got the Death and Rebirth card. This is a whole new cycle for you, and this is all your autumn period. I think this is going to be. I think this period here is actually. I got that the wrong way around. I think this period here in this 3 months going from April through to June is going to be the most important months of the year for you, in an aspect of the setting the groundwork, starting a whole new way of being, allowing you a whole new you to be born, basically. And that seems to be playing out in a lot of people's readings. So what's this Eight of Swords? Now, I said it was to stop you from sort of deviating from your path and just getting pulled off in various different directions and not really concentrating on where you should be going because you get sort of deviated. And this is sort of like helping you to streamline so you can really do that good work here. The Hierophant. This is exactly what I mean. If you want that star, if you want that ultimate dream within your workspace, there's no bends and curves in that stairway. My most favourite card, the Hierophant card, and this ties into this whole new cycle here and this sort of like passions within your life. You know, this new cycle is about sort of sticking to the steps you need to take in order to get to the result so it works for you. And this means being a little bit more sort of serious about things. Well, not necessarily serious about things, because I think you're very serious about things, but a little bit more sort of regimental, a little bit more sort of rigid, mechanical about it in a way. Because the Hierophant is a very learned person, knows the spiritual aspects of life. It's like a priest in a way. They've done all that learning and that soul searching from within them, and now they know the steps they need to take in order to get to their dreams and their aspirations. And there's no deviation from that. You can't deviate off onto various different things. And that's where the Nine of Wands is really helping you with those natural boundaries that appear in your life that make you kind of go, when you eventually kind of go, oh, I'm going off my path. Okay, no, I've got to concentrate on that, where I'm going. And it's ultimately going to bring you happiness and success. Ultimately bring you happiness, Ten of Cups. This whole new cycle that's coming through in your financial world and in your job and your business, you're going to really love it because it's been difficult, it's been hard, it's been work. There's work that's going on there, you know, on these sort of scales of that sort of Eight of Pentacles and stuff like that, and the Eight of Swords there. You're coming through that difficult phase. And you're now through it, and this is where the happiness can really start flowing. And once it starts flowing, and you've got those healthy boundaries in place, which then sets a precedent for the world around you and the people that are around you saying, I'm not going to try it on with Cancer because they know what they're doing and they're going after their happiness, and I will get ruined. So I'm going to, you know, sort of toe the line and give a Cancer a lot of respect. There's a lot of respect going on here within this energy because you're sticking to a plan. You're sticking to a agenda, and this is what I'm talking about, the Pluto going into Aquarius. It's being regimental, it's being on time, it's doing things in a certain order, being very humane about it all. It's going to breed a lot of happiness within you. As I said, we're going to be doing some sort of lives where you can ask questions according to one of the petals. And as I said, you've got to be subscribed in order to do that. There's loads of links in the description below. I will be doing special readings on that Pluto transition from Capricorn to Aquarius in the next week, following week after that. So I will see you there for that. In the meantime, as all that's left for me to say is don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.